My wife and I got married in September 2018 after being together for 3 years. Right before our honeymoon, we brought a house together, and after we got back, we pooled our remaining money and time to completely redo our old starter home and sold that in early 2019. We both work full-time jobs. I make pretty good money and she makes even better money. My wife, let's call her Katie, decided to pursue an MBA and started last fall. She had an educational trust that her parents started for her and therefore didn't ask me for any financial assistance. However, because I saw how time-consuming the MBA was on top of her already large professional workload, I took it upon myself to take care of everything related to our still relatively new home, including dealing with contractors, managing all our bills, maintaining the house, taking care of our dog, purchasing and assembling furniture, yard work, cooking, cleaning, laundry, and hosting and entertaining her family that insisted on coming over at least 2 weekends every month. Lately, Katie had been unhappy with our relationship, complaining that I wasn't spending enough quality time with her and not making her feel wanted. I tried to argue several times that between her work and studies and my work and home responsibilities, there simply wasn't very much time to spend together. We would frequently not even get to eat dinner until 9 or 10 at night, and I would either need to bring her a meal to her home office, or we would quickly eat together and she would return to schoolwork to study. She would argue back that the things I was doing around the house were simply my responsibility as a husband, and that while she appreciated it, it didn't count towards me trying to maintain or build our relationship. We have also been arguing a lot about other things, and combined with the lack of free time, would maybe be intimate once a month. After one particularly emotional and drunken conversation about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, I vowed that despite what I already thought was prioritizing her needs, that I would go even further. I began to take off work. I, unlike her, still had to go in during COVID. Or go in late or leave early. I stopped seeing friends, skipped workouts, and would even wait until she was occupied with something else to even take a shower. All so I could spend as much available time with her as possible between her and her obligations. As a result, things seemed to slightly be improving between us. And now we arrive at last Wednesday. As per usual, I was making dinner for us. We have a tablet in the kitchen that I primarily use for recipes. As I was finishing up, the tablet began pinging non-stop and I checked out what was happening. It turns out the tablet is linked to her Google credentials, and I first saw an ongoing Hangouts conversation between Katie and a friend discussing what to do about someone's wife who had come into their house that day while I was at work. Scrolling through the conversation history, I found more about Katie's lack of feelings for me and the longing and dreaming to instead be with some guy who we'll call Luke. Physically shaken at this point, I decided to venture away from Hangouts and open her Gmail, where I found several emails going as far back as March between her and Luke, calling each other babe, sweetheart, and my love. Unsure of what to do next, I first took screenshots of everything I could find. I then stepped outside to call the only person with law experience that I knew, an executive at the company who I'd become friends with. He advised that I immediately confront her, but first call someone over to the house to act as a witness in case things became physical, or if she might later try to claim that they did. So I had a friend come over in about 20 minutes. I confronted Katie and she confessed to the relationship and admitted that they had been intimate several times over the past 4 months, both at hotels and in our home. Now completely distraught, I tried to maintain my composure and asked her to leave. She stayed at a hotel for 2 nights, then, despite my protests, came home on Friday, stating this was her house too. She insisted on talking when she returned, and not having a witness this time, I decided to record the entire conversation on my phone. She had tried to reiterate that she had been unhappy, but despite that, had been reaching out to her friends and mother about suggestions and resources she could use to help our relationship. She tried to tell me that she had made a big mistake, that she had already broken it off with Luke a week ago, and that I was the only person she wanted to spend her life with, and the reason she hadn't told me about it was because her friends had advised her not to. She also said that if we truly love each other, that divorce was a mistake, and that we should be able to get through anything. I replied that love is worthless without trust, and said that if she insists on staying here, to please stay in the guest room. Obviously free usage of her home office and guest bathroom, but to please stay out of our bedroom and bathroom unless she's telling me first. So now I'm here, sitting in my house alone with just my dog. Her and her aunt and cousins are currently outside at our neighbours for a barbecue. They don't know about what she did. I can't bear to go over there because I don't want to talk or even look at Katie, much less pretend in front of a bunch of people that nothing happened. 90% of me wants to get a divorce, but despite her feelings, I was very happy with the life we were building. We had even been talking about being pregnant by this time next year, but no matter what I decide to do, I know I don't want to make that decision without getting more information about what I can do, what might end up happening if we proceed, and I definitely want to talk to a few lawyers to protect myself. We only have one joint account with less than $20,000 in it, and the only asset we share is our house. So that's it. I'm sorry for writing so much. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading, and I'd really appreciate any and all insight, suggestions or advice. I just feel completely destroyed, empty and alone. Please help me. Given that the OP has no children and can sell his home, he's quite fortunate that should he decide to leave this relationship, it'll be a much cleaner break than others. My advice would be to really consider whether he can move on from this and if he can really trust his wife not to do this again, and to really know whether he can actually forgive and forget that this has ever happened. In my mind, there's a slim possibility that he'll be able to do this, but it's unlikely. The fact that the OP's wife has cheated on him within his marital home shows such a lack of respect for him and the relationship. It would appear that the OP has given his very best to try and support her in their relationship, and in return has had his trust betrayed and he has not been appreciated. To me, this will always live on in the mind of the OP, and it will affect many of the future interactions he will have with his wife. Therefore, it will be akin to smashing a vase and gluing it back together. I think a popular opinion would be for the OP to leave the relationship and focus on himself in order to heal from any issues he may have after this. For example, there could be trust issues with people going forward, bitterness towards women or relationships in general, amongst other things. So I'd maybe leave the relationship and use that time to enjoy doing things that he enjoyed doing prior to being with someone. Enjoy life and hobbies, being with friends and family, and just focus on self-improvement. Going forward, I'm sure if the OP wanted to, he'd be able to meet someone else who would treat him with more respect, and this would give him a better chance of a lasting relationship with someone in comparison to staying with his current wife. Some of the most helpful and insightful comments I found on this post were as follows. Divorce, no kids, $10,000 average with lawyers if either of you decide to fight, both with half the assets. During my divorce with an actual Kate, who was being intimate with someone at her work, my therapist said that someday she'll just be somebody that you used to know. 6 years later, I can't even picture anything about her. No kids makes it so much easier. Another post wrote, seek a therapist and a divorce lawyer so that you can prepare for yourself in the future. Maybe you'll survive, most relationships don't however, but you need to be prepared either way. She needs counselling to even have a chance. Your journey from here is long and hard. You'll have good days and bad days. She's going to have to seriously understand how traumatic this was for you and the serious number she did on your mental health. Another post wrote, she is gaslighting you into believing that you were the problem. Always remember her actions are on her and not on you. She consciously made a decision to be unfaithful to you. I advise no matter what happens not to take her back. Get a divorce. You may not see it as the right thing now, but in the long run, it will be the best thing for you. You are nothing but a great and supporting husband, and she took your efforts for granted. Don't let her ruin your life any further. And finally, another post wrote, what the heck? She's having an affair? I doubt she's even broken it off anyway, and you're not sure if you want to keep going? Talking about kids and that you're happy and therefore don't want to leave? Come on man, you better start realizing your worth. You need to cut that woman out of your life and move on. Do you seriously think that if you stay with her, everything will be forgotten in a year or two? Of course not. You won't be able to trust her and become paranoid. She will feel that you're hovering and everything will explode into something nastier. Also, keeping her in your life teaches her one thing, that it's perfectly fine to have more than one boyfriend, because there are no consequences even when she gets caught. Lawyer up and leave. You can stay at my place until you get back on your feet.